Joining me now, Washington Times opinion editor Charlie Hurt, host of the Mike Gallagher radio show on the Salem Radio Network, Fox News contributor Mike Gallagher. Great to have you both here.
Hey, Lou.
Hey, Lou.
Let's start with Mitch McConnell and high expectations, Charlie. This is the president's fault. He actually expects Congress and the Senate to do something, and to do so, well, efficiently and productively and with some respect for the taxpayer, the citizen, and time itself.
You know, Lou, last week there was something pretty extraordinary that happened in the United States Senate, and that was a bill, a bipartisan bill to basically block President Trump from doing anything to stop the Bob Mueller investigation. So what we have here is more bipartisan support with Republicans authoring this for investigating Donald Trump than we have for keeping their promise to repeal and replace Obamacare. That is an extraordinary moment, and that's an extraordinary thing to step back and realize that they have not learned anything from Donald Trump. They are exactly where they were before he ever entered the scene, and they're going to pay a price for it.
Yeah, and you know, Tom Tillis himself, who we hadn't heard from since he'd been elected to the Senate, comes out as the sponsor of this legislation, the Republican sponsor. I got to say, the man has got to be, I'm going to be as kind as I can. He's not particularly bright here.
Well, and I spend a great deal of time in the Carolinas. I'm going to be in North Carolina this weekend, and I hear on my radio show from North Carolina residents who are so livid at him. The word is rage. They can't believe it. They feel completely betrayed. His voters, his constituents, North Carolinians, are saying that it's outrageous that he would be part of this so-called bipartisan effort that is clearly only intended for President Trump. He says on the Sunday morning shows, well, we'll have this around for a long time. It's absolutely directed at President Trump, and I think Charlie's right. The voters aren't going to forget this. You know, voters tend to have short memories. They're going to have long memories over these acts.
Well, Tillis, I mean, to me, is just shocking. I mean, he's obviously a sellout. He's obviously, again, not being very bright here. And I just can't even imagine how dumb the Republican Party leadership is until I start looking at some of the rank and file like Tillis. I mean, what in the world?
And of course, you know, whatever, you know, maybe there is some sort of good principle here in some sort of, you know, principled stance here. I don't know. But the idea that this is what how they're going to prioritize their efforts is stunning to me when they can't do the simple thing, which is fulfill their promise to remove Obamacare.
And it makes
all they had to do.
And it really makes you worry about a time like this where we have a crazed dictator with possibly a nuke headed in our direction. How are these guys going to lead? How is Congress going to show leadership at a time when, and today, the president putting the world on notice, putting North Korea on notice. This is the time when Americans ought to be thinking about being united rather than all this garbage and all this back and forth. This is the time where we ought to be, you know, we ought to be together as Americans and realize we face a real threat.
And Congress, I mean, Mitch McConnell, I love the ditch Mitch slogan, you know, which sort of sums up my thoughts for his career trajectory. But the very idea that McConnell would blame the President of the United States for lofty expectations. Do you remember, ask not what you or your country can do for you? I mean, this was not an aspirational speech he gave to the Rotary Club by any stretch of the imagination. Charlie, what are we to make of a Justice Department that won't take on people who are running around in official office using aliases like Loretta Lynch, like Eric Holder, and instead giving what appears, at least at this point, to be a free pass to an attorney general who's obstructed justice and resorted to unlawful behavior, that is, using an alias to avoid FOIA.
Clearly, there's enough evidence here to open an investigation into that and a whole host of other things, including the unmasking of Trump officials during the campaign. I mean, that was the President of the United States allegedly using, or not allegedly at this point, we actually have real smoking gun evidence that suggests the President was using the most powerful intelligence apparatus on the planet to spy on his political opponents in the United States of America, and then they unmasked those people, and then they leaked that information to damage them, to hurt those people, to punish their enemies. And I think that there should absolutely be an investigation into both of those things, and they should go absolutely as far as it goes to the very top, and they should prosecute people.
And not to I respect you, both of you, so much, not to disagree, but I'm of a mindset to look forward right now. There's so much on the president's plate, so much on America's plate. We've got so much to try to struggle with and grapple with. You're both, of course, absolutely right, but boy, we are facing something that is perilous. We need strong leadership. We need clarity, and we need consistency. And it's a good time to have that muscular presidency that many say is what Trump is good at.
He's great at it, but he's also got a great big old government that's capable of doing more than one or two things at a time, including draining the damn swamp.